So she still works for us? Okay, no wonder I never saw her before.
She comes once a year.
How do these people set this thing up?
That's a whole other story.
I gotta hear that one.
I got time.
It's funny that you just now,
Yeah.
you know, we've been here 3 years.
Yeah, and then you.
Hey, I bet you're seeing it here. Well, we can do a proper mic check if you want. This would be one at the judge, channel 1 at the judge, channel 1.
So if somebody steps to the podium, who's gonna be the person to say, yo, wait a minute.
Stand back.
Move the mics.
I will.
I'll just move them to it, like I keep the mic there and here, and then if they go to podium, I have this up.
Switch.
Sort of get them from here.
Oh, I don't have that option.
No,
Do you flip a switch or do you have to plug your cord in?
no, I just, on here I have the 4 different channels.
Hey, it's Eric again. I just want to make sure you got a good mic check on
Well,
each
that's like
channel.
the 2 main mics. I
1,
use.
1, 1, 1.
And then if it gets bad.
Judge,
I just
judge,
add
judge.
Channel 3 with my
Okay.
jack on.
Well, let me do the prosecutor here.
You have
Yeah, I have redundant channel.
All right, and then this is where the prosecutor will stand.
Yeah, so I just
2, 2, 2, 2.
1 is that, 2 is
I
there,
appreciate that.
and 3 will be the shotgun.
Okay. Hey, Jim,
Yeah.
as far as stand-up is concerned, we're just gonna do that before all that.
Okay. That sounds,
Easy enough for,
I'm assuming we'll be outside.
yeah, we can just go right by your parked car.
Yeah, that's what you and,
Yeah,
was that Chris?
yeah,
Mr. Personality?
yes.
You're talking about Vaughn.
It's electric. Mr. Person.
Every time I say that, the only thing he says to me is, man. Okay, I guess that was I. Man,
Well, it's hard to put your foot in your mouth if you never open it.
that's true.
Some of us have that
I don't believe me, he puts his foot in his mouth.
problem.
I'll shut up now.
Yeah, this camera's for weddings and bar mitzvahs, so I have to physically unplug
Oh, do you?
that mic and then I have to plug my shotgun in.
Oh, okay.
So.
Audio. Okay. Audio input.
Do you have like a switch on the side?
Yeah, I have switches and I'm in the menu right now. Cause I think I need to change the menu.
Can you call up a third, fourth channel, do you think?
I have 4 channels.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. But, I don't know if I can change it.
You with Cleveland.com?
Yeah.
Cool, I'm Eric.
Hi, David.
David?
Yeah, you got this.
Good to see you, good to see you. And if I've seen you before, do you change your
Oh, no, probably, I mean, there's so many faces running into
Yeah.
I don't know how to go.
But see, I can't do that, because if that's channel 1 and that's channel 2, then my channel 3 needs to be,
one? Right, is it
No.
odd and even?
internal mic. Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, I see Jen a lot around here with,
Oh, bet you do, yeah.
1, 2.
I was filling in for him a couple of weeks ago while he was on spring break with his kids.
Oh.
And I never had to come to court.
Oh, really?
It's the easiest 2 days I've had. Like, you haven't got nothing for you. So I cleaned out my car.
Yeah.
It's a mess now. Cleaned up a few things.
Now I'm second guessing myself.
You got too much time to think.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That reminds me, I gotta silence that.
Did you go out in the middle of it?
Yeah, what's going on? what, that is a good, I'm glad you reminded me of that, because I might want to play a half hour.
That's what I was thinking.
What was it? That was pretty good. One time that they had technological problems, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, and it was like, the judge kept apologizing, she
Yeah,
had
just
to
fix
have
it.
a computer, and
Yeah.
they kept leaving and coming back.
Yes.
I went on for like 45 minutes.
I was so uncomfy.
Yeah, it was like awful. Were you with me when that guy was sentenced in some other like, small town, and he was scowling at the camera, like looking around?
Yes.
And I used that shot of him, like when they
Where
talked.
was that? Because we were with Channel 5.
It was like some smaller town.
Yeah.
You know your pastor though?
Yeah, I have it off, because it's just, I'm not gonna bother.
Oh, okay. The weirdest encounter I ever had was a kid who,
Was where?
Madison, a kid who killed his girlfriend's parents. They're both doctors at main campus in Madison, Wisconsin. And he was smiling at us.
Oh, Madison,
Oh, he's
Wisconsin.
smiling
And
at
he
you?
was staring at us, smiling at us the whole time. It was,
That's kind of weird.
he was a smart kid because he knew that if he committed the murders in the UW campus, it meant campus police had to investigate it.
Oh, really?
And they'd never done a murder, and none of them had ever done, so it was horribly put together.
That's
God.
messed
And
up, man.
they even admitted it. They're like, we're in over our heads essentially.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it was part of his plan.
Wow. Smart kid, I guess, but awful kid.
So here's the question, as a citizen, have they changed that?
That's a good point.
Does Wisconsin, you said Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Does Wisconsin have like a BCI?
Well, they do, and I forget what the technicality was that, I mean, they could facilitate and helping out for the night of, obviously, the night of is the most important,
Yeah,
and they didn't have any help that night.
yeah.
Gee.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I guess that's the advantage of government, law enforcement,
Yeah.
whatever, is, like the bad guys say, hey, we only have to be lucky once.
Exactly.
But every time you're lucky, then the government says, oh, I see what they did. Okay, so now we don't have to plan for that. And then the next bad guy gets lucky. And then the law enforcement says, oh, now we know how to plan for that. So I think in the end,
So my time in Madison, that was my last story. My first story, I was shadowing a reporter, and he interviewed a kid who we later found out had murdered and chopped up his parents.
Oh.
I mean, Adam Duxter is the same, and I was shadowing him that day, and he was like, we're gonna go up to this kid because his parents have been missing for 2 weeks. He's like, no way he talks. He did. Then he talked to every other station, and then the police said he was inconsistent with his own stories on each of the
Oh, my God.
interviews he gave.
isn't that something?
Then they found out one of the first big clues was he Googled how to cut up a body, and then how best to dispose of a body.
That's a pretty bad thing to do if you're gonna do the photo.
So Google search.
Wasn't that something?
Yeah.
A
The reason
lot of people get caught on a search.
But the reason why he did it is because he had failed out of school. He was at UW Madison. He had failed out a year before, but he was taking his parents' money for tuition and just, living a different lifestyle that they knew about. They had found out.
So he just killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the easiest for them.
Isn't that crazy?
This is stupid.
And Adam Duxter was on, they've done all those, CSI, whatever it is. He's, be in court for, I got excused, which was great. But
Yeah, it would. Wow. I would serve on a jury in 10, 20 years. Something like
I testified, which was,
You been on a jury?
no.
I did it once.
Was it here?
That's where I met you.
Yeah.
How you been?
Good, how are you?
Kaitor, right?
Yeah.
What's up, Kaitor?
Good, everybody.
Good to see you. Well, hey, that is a truly,
Yeah.
it's a truly memorable meeting.
It's
Yeah,
like the worst show in the world.
yeah, I gotta catch up on the case.
It was, my jury duty was real pleasant until the deliberation started.
Yeah.
Then it started to get awkward.
How long was your case?
It was just a week.
Mine, I got stuck for 2 weeks.
Yours was 2 weeks.
2 weeks. It was just a gross sexual position. It just went on and on.
was the hang?
It was the weirdest thing because clearly, the girl was clearly touched by this guy or stepfather or something.
Okay.
And while she's on testifying, she's crying, but she looks at her friend and she also like laughs through her tears. And which is, you're terrified,
Yeah.
you're looking at this guy who abused you and all that stuff, and you're getting the jury room and like, oh god, nah, she was laughing. She was crying at the same time, she's recounting something dramatic, you have this up and down and up and down, and it's like, no, honestly, she was laughing. That's,
Did he ever move his position then?
what's that?
He never moved off that?
No, he never did, and so they retried it again, that's when I was 15 afterwards, so she told me about it, and it ended up on jury.
Oh my God.
So,
Yeah, I know, my wife will laugh when she's upset.
yeah, that's the thing, it's just a natural thing, you're like, and you're in front of a whole crowd, and you're a little,
She's a kid.
yeah.
And she's a kid, and it's like the number one fear other than jumping off.
Laughing and crying at the same time, you can't help yourself because you're like so upset, and you don't know what to feel.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I wouldn't notice that.
Right, you can notice it,
Gotta take it.
just listen to all the rest of the testimony, you can figure out what to do.
Yeah, I think my jury did the right thing. Some kind of a menacing guy,
Really?
had an argument, and he came and he shot up her place. And we're like, well, we don't, and, eventually, there was a conviction, but there were a lot of people who didn't want to convict the guy. And then it got personal with people.
Yeah.
Learned a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever want it, if I'd want a jury.
The old saying is, if you're innocent, don't give a jury. If you're guilty, jury.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
As far as evidence is concerned.
Okay, sure.
It's definitely gonna be late, and I'm even making an attempt to come in here.
Jim and Shelley on.
I don't think so. She texted me this morning.
Shelley Steinmetz?
Yeah,
She's the best.
she's with us.
This is the sweetest.
No, we did, so we did a special shoot, and I had an old typewriter, and we needed a woman typing. And she said, well, how old? I said, I guess she would have been 20 years. What year? Late 60s. So she was totally into it. She had like this mod 60s, bright nail polish.
That's amazing.
And she was like totally into it. She's like, is the lighting good? How do you want me to turn? Should I type faster, slower? I said, raise your wrist. She goes, oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
She's super smart.
yes. Yeah, she is. I'll tell you the biggest thing I learned from that jury is that so many people get screwed.
Yeah.
We had just two people. We had a guy who was a manager for a Wendy's franchise. It wasn't just, he's not the back of one Wendy's, he's in the office with many Wendy's. And he's like, you don't understand, when I leave here, I still put an ad every day, and I don't go to work, people don't get paid. And the other woman was a masseuse, and she's like, people don't want massages that can't pay. I'm losing money.
Hey, sir, what about the audio from the people on the screen?
What do you mean?
Is the audio okay to record or not? Audio?
They're not gonna say anything.
They're not saying anything? Okay, thank you.
Okay,
All right.
thanks. And here I am,
Jesus.
Yeah, I got paid half of my pay or something, and I got screwed.
Yeah, I got 2 weeks vacation, 15-minute drive to work instead of 45. I would have stayed on that jury for the whole 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn my website. Excuse me once again.
Good for you, man, I'm happy for him.
I am too, hopefully he gets his shit together.
How long was he in?
I think this time he was in there for 3 years, but he's been in and out ever since he was 18.
Oh,
Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't talked to him in 3 years, because I refuse to.
How old?
He'll be, he's 29, he'll be 30
Okay.
this year.
How many kids you had?
Three.
Three, okay. So I thought,
Yeah.
two girls?
Two girls and a boy.
Well, I hope he lands on his feet, man.
Yeah.
I hope so. But
Sometimes,
it's all his decision.
it is, I mean, and especially at, you know, at 29, you know, I had a kid, a full-time job, a mortgage, you know.
Yeah, but I was 29.
Yeah, but I was a complete idiot until at least 25, maybe 30. Maybe it started to go up between 25 and 30. And sometimes it's that maturity.
Yeah.
You wake up and like, what am I doing? Hopefully.
Yeah. We'll see.
I'm happy for you, that's good news. Can I ask, you know, if he was taking classes or anything?
I don't know anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know nothing. I mean, I didn't check on it, you know.
Sure.
You know, hopefully he was doing something. You know, because been numerous conversations, the last conversation I told him, I said, you know, I'll send you to heating and cooling school for air conditioning and furnace, because everybody needs that.
Oh, that.
So he has so many felonies, he can't get a job. So if you just put, you know, Chris heating and cooling on the side of a van, somebody's gonna see that and call.
Yeah.
And call, and call, and call. You're gonna get jobs.
That's good thinking.
Especially when it's cold, people want their heat on. And then if the AC goes out and you got 100 degrees days, people are gonna call.
They'll call, they'll take a chance.
So if you're running your own business, you can be whatever. And you're gonna make tons of money, but. Yeah, he wasn't interested in that.
Well, yeah, then you get raked over by the IRS and you got to collect. And, yeah, but I mean, it's better than the alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Man, my battery's gonna be dead by the time.
Well, I know, that's what, I never know what to do with this thing, that's why I stand over here, because the batteries die on the lights. You have to go out, break it, so I start and change it.
This is battery on the camera.
well, that's court. It never starts on time.
I really wasn't like batteries.
Well, you know what? I got some spares.
From there, bringing cheap.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to stop work for some.
yeah, they're not going to do a
Yeah,
recess.
something like that. Which crypto did you try to do?
My reporter calls me, and, you know, so she's coordinating with me, and then she said, if this one's over, and I'm like, maybe it could run over, and then I got panicky and pulled in. Well, yeah. I mean, I think when you're playing with people's, when you're dealing with people's lives, it's good to take some time, but,
Right.
yeah. You got other people's lives down the hall.
Which case are you doing?
His name is Jackson, he's been sentenced, for use,
Oh, okay.
he's accused of, well, convicted of stealing an Amazon truck, killing a driver. Unfortunately. Well, if it was good, I might. Or to be honest, Channel 8 might be there.
Hi, how are you? What station do I have?
I'm
8319. Okay. You're David, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And do you know, are they gonna do the Fraser next week?
No.
They're not gonna do the day off.
You got kicked till the 6th.
Okay.
Did you want to see if they trying to get on that, or you want to wait till we get started?
What dress?
See if they can get on that, or you want to wait till they get started?
What do you mean?
So they're going to join on.
What?
losing my batteries.
Just check and see if we can see.
Do you have more?
I put brand new ones in.
Oh, yeah. I'm on Zoom.
Yeah.
That's different, yes.
Craig, how do you like this Bluetooth mics?
I don't have to worry about interference with anybody else. I might have to do two jobs.
There you go.
Well, that's good.
Charge shares.
Me too.
Yeah, so I charge. It's too fast.
You just throw them on charge every other day.
Yeah, I check that too. Every once in a while, I make a mistake. And then my camera doesn't go out there. So
Baseball player.
it's like awesome. Yeah. That's to me,
And, you know,
It's so hard.
the only
$300,
thing about it,
you know, I never got so much candy and stuff. Oh my God. You know?
yeah,
Put a lot into it.
okay. Okay, so you can't plug the log in. It's just like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, they can have no down where they can see.
Yeah, I don't know if they got that on. So I'm wondering if they're on the wrong one.
No, I said it.
That's all.
Yeah.
It works great. It's a two-channel receiver.
But if you want to text them.
You can.
So whereabouts my brother was at.
I know, and if humidity goes up, that's a show, you know?
Yeah.
I can't do that.
So this way we'll know that
He,
they're
oh,
all.
no, he is a major leaguer. I know he's here for Kansas City.
Oh,
His territory is around
Okay.
Tennessee.
I got it. So it's like.
So he's not here? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Prosecutor, so the idea is that crypto's moving into a new thing. Trump and all people are getting that. So now they're getting the stock market.
Oh, it's certainly.
So before, stock market was one thing. So it's legit and everything with it. So it's like getting the blessing. Now all of a sudden, that's what's got the blessing. All of a sudden, it doesn't seem like because they're all going to be dealing with crypto. So if you have crypto, you can get a loan from the bank on your crypto. Like they're all setting it up, so it's going to change directions for the first time instead of being just kind of like a bad kind of thing. Because they say probably by the end of this year, it should go up to 10. So you put $2 up to 10. And then they say in the next couple of years, it'll go up to $100. Yeah. Well, that's kind of how people don't understand it. It's difficult to understand some of the stuff that
Oh,
where it takes a while.
oh, right. Oh, yeah, they didn't want
wanna do anything yet with,
Oh, Kirkland's still on.
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Probably see it out there. What about you?
I'm determined though, I'm determined to work it.
Lose my battery in my camera.
How many moves? How many moves do you guys have? Is he in here? No, he went out. Really?
Battery.
What's, what is your favorite? Really? Oh, did you get it?
Well, ready to go.
I just worry about the mic, you know, I got the aero cover, I got the camera cover, but those you gotta worry about.
I found this receiver they bought us and this camera. There's no place on this camera for microphone. Or so I thought. Yeah, I know. I have this USB-C, so that's two batteries.
He's out, yeah, okay.
But that's why I had this counter. And I love this light, I love that battery, this battery is like, and, I don't know if I even charge it once a month. And, but anyway, long story short, I don't love that. Yeah, it's better than the one that replaced it. The one that replaced it's heavy. It's built for, so I guess what it is if you have like a church or city council, you mount that.
Yeah.
And it can stream on separate. The trade-off is that there's a fan in the
Oh, really?
and it's right by your face.
Oh my God.
It's really,
That would be annoying.
and it's really heavy, and it's a handy cam, there's no way to counter it. And this rig doesn't fit. So I don't know, I like it better than the one that replaced, but the one that replaced that might be similar to Craig is using.
I like this camera for this kind of thing.
Went to, Navy and then also were in Air Force and then, yeah,
You
and she's
know,
done.
anytime we can, I guess you not many of them, gotta have a resolution on that.
Yeah, I noticed, with mine too. There's something about the color that I can't quite match.
Are you guys in Premiere?
No.
Okay. There's a thing in Premiere when you,
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. I don't know, something, I can't remember what it is. You have to make sure you have it set for that.
Okay, well, so-
I don't know what it is, but it's my color.
You can, that's what
So I automatically have it change whatever file type this is to the correct thing, and now the colors are correct.
Really, it's the
Yeah.
file type.
Yeah, and then also, I go to HDR, and you can look up here, but in my American on HDR.
Mary, do you have the list?
I always like to make sure I'm not at HDR. Yeah, we have Premiere. Yeah. You guys still have these?
When did you guys get from there?
I don't know, since I've been there. Yeah, that's.
Everybody that has Premiere says they love Premiere. You can do so much. It's easier.
Like, that's the radio stuff.
I'm at 8.
So if I do something with one that's on two, but I have one over the other. If you do that, color correct, whatever I want to have. So one movement on this, one movement on that, time together as one piece. Then I can take that piece and have that mount. So two movements that originally are still doing, you know, so it's like.
Oh, I thought, were you gonna, can you lock me out?
Layers.
Yeah, you got some nested inside of it.
Yeah.
Then you want to put like a little color effect on it, nest it again. So I like that about it. It's a lot easier.
You know, and I thought about trying to learn it.
You know, idiots, you can learn from your stuff.
I'll be seated.
We're not ready.
No, I know. I'm just getting ready. I'm not ready yet.
Morning, Your Honor.
Oh, morning. How are you guys doing?
Fine, how are you?
3.
Yes, Channel 3, I am.
Oh, no, there's 3 of you.
I know, but like.
19, 3, and
8.
8. 4.
I don't know where 5 is.
Clean up in your good.
Yes.
I sure did.
I got mine like all the way up. And I get to 4.
I would do none.
You?
Yeah.
That's huge offense.
What I've done, yeah.
No, that's the thing.
I think you usually do it on 9.
Hey. No, it's got a bit more sensitive camera on mine.
No, I'd love to go back to the full size AMG.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's heavy.
Never.
Hey, you know what? You can always, you know what? I should be lifting weights. I should be doing push-ups. And
The
I
only
would,
exercise I get into is
I don't.
that's it. That's what I have, but I can't.
Yeah.
How much, sir? No, no.
My last name is M-A-T-H-I-S. First name is Mike. Yeah.
Actually, saw it, they do things like this, but
Oh, is this the last?
they, no, they do all the time, they just, I look for my stories sometimes there, but, people like what you don't like. You're positive. I bet you,
Okay, good.
yeah. How you guys,
We're good.
where you live?
We'll see.
I think you live in,
Yeah.
I just moved down.
Okay. Okay.
I thought I saw you.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought I saw you. But then I was like, I'm right. Remember, we're just. Okay, I didn't know what Exactly. Yeah, negotiations. I just get the direction. What?
Hi. You're the PO?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Come on up. You're here for Miller, is it, or?
Phillips.
Phillips, yeah, come on up. Come on up, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do the sentencing, it's gonna take a while. So, yeah, this will take a while.
Okay, all righty. We can talk about something.
Yeah, tell her, check in and give your number.
I use cracking because you can get the, cracking really easy. So I should download different app. Cracking is what I use.
Who else is with you at your table?
Detective Michael Mathis from Cleveland Heights.
Okay, from Cleveland Heights, right, Mathis.
I can add money in, so I go and deposit it.
I maybe should later.
But this is what it looks like. Cracking. Oh, okay, okay.
What are we waiting on? Well, Tom's talking to his client probably. Okay, that's fine.
Well, he left the floor, he was gonna come back.
Oh, that's fine.
I think they might be in there.
Okay.
I think he's with his client. What?
I have a plea, I don't know if you want me to, if you wanna just wait.
What type of a plea is it?
Well, I think they needed to talk to you and some other night.
Well, let me take a minute to talk to them then while they're in there. Let's see.
Get a list, it's pursuing stolen property.
Okay, let's take, oh, all right.
Is that one?
We should do this first. There's so many people
Yeah,
waiting
let's
on this.
just do this.
But get a list out. If we have a minute, I'll talk to her
All right,
about it.
I'll get Jim.
Yeah. Jim who?
Valentine.
Okay.
And then I have to call the PO back when I'm ready to do Phillips.
Yeah, I understand. I saw her. I told her this is gonna take a while.
There's nobody on.
Yeah, that might be how it stays, but we just want to keep it open if that's possible, just in case.
All right.
They haven't gone live, so keeping it, they want to, and they say it's last, over the next year, it's supposed to just go back up. But they haven't done it.
Okay, no problem.
Judge, is your thing dead?
This,
Yeah.
it looks like it's dead. Yeah, there's no. Oh, no, it's on.
It's on, I think it's green.
Oh, it's flashing green. That means it's low battery.
It could. Usually it's red. This one, he's been charging all night and it's red. I don't know why.
All right, well, whatever. That's only for the Zoom, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not concerned.
All right, this one's working. Switch them.
What? So Tommy's in there, right?
He's not.
He's not. All right.
We're the junior with, Phillips.
Yeah.
And Tommy just texted.
We have the sentencing that's going to go first.
Great. I was just asking her to text me.
Yeah.
Okay. Great, thanks. Get a date, like make a plan next month. I got that answer. It's going in. Yeah, thank you.
come on up. Oh, are you gonna be on the PV too?
For Phillips?
Andrew Phillips?
Yeah.
What, his PSA?
Or the report.
Oh, here, I'll
I
just,
haven't seen it yet. Okay.
it's easy. He was in the CPCF.
Yeah, it's gone.
He was in the CPCF. He was a jerk there.
I think Rachel's back there. Do you
She's
want to
not,
grab her?
she's not.
Okay.
Oh, it's,
Summers?
oh, that's right, she's not. Well, he cut himself apart while you're escaping, so.
Oh,
And he was caught down the street, so you can see it, but
okay.
it's pretty simple. He's got, we're gonna do the sentencing first, so I think it's in here. This is my stuff, but you can look at this for that, but I'm gonna go talk to you, Jen, about this one. Not this one,
Oh.
no.
Messenger.
Yeah.
He's going to plead to the indictment. It's a couple F4s and OVI. He's been disconnected from the courts.
What is the rest?
Gun.
Yeah.
Was
Basically,
the other,
Just
you
one.
said a couple,
oh, just what the other one is
Improper
improper
handling.
handling that same gun in the car.
And then OBI.
okay.
He hasn't been in trouble for 8 years. He is scared to death that he's going to prison.
He's at 50,
Yeah, he's working, he's kind of got his act together more than most of his clients. I
What
would
is
say.
it? What type of work? I don't need to know, you know.
I forget, he just did the female, so it should say. Oh, that's right, he's at Nestle. There's something at Nestle on West 25th Street.
Okay, yeah. So what was the deal? What was he doing?
Basically, he drove off the road on 480 in
Yes.
the so wound up in the ditch.
Yeah.
When they got there, he was clearly intoxicated.
Okay.
And
And he
then
had a gun.
when they arrested him, he's like, by the way, I have a gun in my pocket.
Okay.
Very, very cooperative.
So what's your question?
So he just wants to make sure he's not going to prison.
No, I don't think so. No.
I can't see it myself, but
No, no,
he wanted me to be able to.
He's 50, if it's been 10 years,
Yeah.
and the OVI is a serious thing. He had a gun, I get, but if he wasn't leaving it around, that's probably the
I
way.
think if I'm remembering, this is the client whose son was shot and killed walking to a convenience store a couple years ago, so he started
Oh,
carrying.
that's fine.
He just got free.
Okay.
So, okay, well, I plead today, but I'm gonna get a PSI so that,
Why?
I wanna have a petition for driving privileges, because you'll have to suspend his license again. His ALS is over, so he's driving valid, but there's a minimum number of
Well,
suspension.
he's, okay, so he, where's restitution of the two? There's an
Right, yes.
Okay, why couldn't you just, or yes, why couldn't you just file?
Just because I don't have his proof of insurance, I don't have his work schedule, I don't have all
Okay,
this
so,
stuff.
no, I get that, so you can always apply for that. And I'm not opposed, why would you continue the sentencing?
Well, I mean, it was I mean, I also thought some things on the side that are beneficial to him, that he's working, his record is.
Whatever you wanna do, John. No, I'm just saying, whatever you wanna do is fine, I'm okay.
He's having concerns about taking some time off of work. So maybe we should just go ahead and do it.
I mean, I can do the sentencing today.
Yeah.
If you send me, if you send, file a motion, with just all this stuff, the proof of insurance, we don't need to have a hearing.
Right.
Okay. For everyone to know. So that, why, so save them the
Well,
trouble.
what we're asking then is we sentence him, all of the suspension start,
All the suspension backdated to the time of the offense.
Well, but he doesn't need to do it the whole time because after 3 months, that suspension is over. So he'll get 3 months credit towards the, because now he's back to
So how
driving.
do I do that?
Well, what you'll do is you give him the minimum 1 year and then 3 months credit for the.
Oh, give him 3 months credit.
So he'll have 9 months.
Okay, remind me, we can do that, but the sentencing's gotta come first. It's gonna take a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just as soon do that, and you
We'll get it all
do
done
it,
today.
it just saves work for everybody on the trip, unless you like coming here.
Well, I'd always like to see it.
Sure. Okay,
My
so if
first,
you want,
my first trial on the outside, he was the prosecutor.
who was?
You.
I don't remember that. You were my supervisor at one point.
Yeah.
Those things are going to
good job.
I think Brittany Newman, she has the report, so I don't have it for Phillips.
Oh, okay, I'll see
But
if she's in the.
that's me, kind of the bar bar, that's it. Are you ready?
This was just some securities that he just gave me, jail, give to you the story.
Okay.
Just before I stood up and I forgot this. Get him here was part of this.
Are these from you now, or no, you're going to?
I was just gonna have you look at it.
Oh, wait, okay, so you're gonna hand them to me. I mean, do you want them to stay with me, or are you gonna
I'm
hand
gonna
them?
give them back to him.
What are these? You get these when they're done?
They can now, I think those tablets, they can take courses on a tablet.
Oh,
Instead of watching a movie, some people could take anger management trip.
really?
I
Okay.
think those are free.
How do you plan to watch it? Well, that's about
But this is like, we get like an iPad.
the whole time they're there. They can sit in your pod and just do whatever.
But they're really expensive. They're not split money in the iPad.
I'll look at these. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Are you ready then, Tommy?
Yes.
And Adrian?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Is that Mary Schuler?
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, thank you.
All right. Are you guys ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Laura?
Yes.
All right, we're here at the matter of the state of Ohio versus Jalen Jackson. Are you Mr. Jackson?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you're here with your attorneys, Thomas Shaughnessy and Thomas Shaughnessy.
Yes, sir.
The elder, Thomas E. and Thomas
M, Your Honor.
M. Shaughnessy. Present for the state of Ohio is our assistant county prosecutors, Adrian Linick
Good morning, Your Honor.
and Rocco Vernia,
Good morning, Your Honor.
as well as a detective from the Cleveland Heights Police Department, Detective
Mike Mathis, sir.
T-H-I-S or E-S?
Ayes.
I-S, all right. We're here for sentencing because on case number 685374, defendant had previously pled guilty to receiving stolen property of a motor vehicle in violation of revised code 2913.51, a felony of the fourth degree as charged in count 1 of that indictment. We're also here on case number 683231, where a defendant had previously pled guilty to burglary, a felony of the second degree, is charged in count 1 of the indictment in violation of revised code 2911.12A2. And we're also here on the third case, case number 697745, where the defendant had previously pled guilty to, as amended, involuntary manslaughter in violation of revised code 2903.04A, a felony of the first degree, with a 1-year firearm specification in violation of 2941.141, and a forfeiture specification pursuant to 2941.1417 as amended in count 1 indictment. Also, the defendant had pled guilty to aggravated robbery, an amended indictment in violation of 2911.01A1, a felony of the first degree, with a 3-year firearm specification pursuant to 2941.145, and a forfeiture specification pursuant to 2941.1417 as amended in count 3 of the indictment. Also, the defendant had pled guilty to discharge of a firearm on or near prohibited premises, a felony of the third degree, in violation of revised code 2923.162A3, As I said, a felony of the third degree with forfeiture specification 2941.1417 is amended in count 8 of the indictment. Also, the defendant had pled guilty to failure to comply with order signal of police officer pursuant to revised code 2921.331B, a felony of the third degree with a 3-year firearm specification pursuant to 2941.145. Also, with the same forfeiture specification pursuant to 2941.1417, as it was amended in count 9 of the indictment. Also, the defendant pled guilty to having weapons while under disability pursuant to revised code 2923.13A2, a felony of the third degree with forfeiture specifications pursuant to 2941.1417 as amended in count 10 of the indictment. They also, pursuant to the record, there was an agreement that all counts are not allied offenses, and there was an agreement for the defendant to forfeit to the Cleveland Heights Police Department the firearm, a High Point CP, serial number P1552415. The defendant was referred for a pre-sentence investigation report, and the court has a copy and has receipt of that and has reviewed it. Have you had a chance to review it? Which of you is going to speak?
Yes,
Elder?
Your Honor, we have had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence investigation report and find it to be accurate.
You have found it? You have reviewed it, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Ms. Lennox?
Yes, the state has reviewed that as well, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Are you ready to go for sentencing, Mr. Shaughnessy?
We're prepared to go forward, Your Honor.
All right, I'll let the state proceed first.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, good morning. Before this court, in the cases just indicated, there's also an agreed recommended range between the parties of 26 to 34 years of incarceration as the sentence that we are suggesting. Your Honor, the state will be requesting the high end of that, the 34 years on 697-745, any time to be given on the other two cases, 685-374 and 683-231, to be run concurrent for a total sentence of 34 years. The state will, at this time, place on the record the reasons for that request and recommendation. In viewing the purposes and principles of felony sentencing, Your Honor, the state believes that this sentence is appropriate to protect the public from future crime from Mr. Jackson, as well as to punish him for the offenses that he committed. I believe it will promote an effective rehabilitation, and these are using the minimum sanctions to determine how to accomplish this. There is a need for incapacitation in this case, and not just incapacitation for the higher level based on the seriousness of the crimes that he committed, and that the sentence that the state is suggesting would be commensurate with and not demeaning to the seriousness of his conduct and the impact on the victims in these cases. Your Honor, looking at the factors under 2929.12b, that the victim suffered serious physical, psychological, or economic harm in these cases. I don't believe that there is any more serious harm than the loss of life. In all categories, physical, psychological, and economic, the ripple effects that this has on a family, on a community, but of course on the victim who lost his life. There was also the victim of the aggravated robbery. The state will move through the facts momentarily, who suffered not just physical harm, but also psychological harm, serious psychological harm. Just to give the court a brief overview of the series of events starting from March of 2022 through December of 23, which are the reasons why Mr. Jackson is before this court. In case 685-374, it actually begins on March 24th of 2022, when Ms. Anacia Yanez, age 24, reported that her 2006 Chevy Impala was stolen when she went out to work. She found it missing. 2 weeks prior, her car had been taken from her at gunpoint by a light-skinned male in front of her residence, in Cleveland near West 73rd and Madison. Her spare key was taken at that time. The car was ultimately recovered and then taken again between about, at approximately 1800 hours on March 24th and 10 a.m. on March 25th. On April 3rd, the vehicle was located parked at Great Northern Mall. Police put stop sticks in front of the tires and waited. Jalen Jackson and 2 other males approached the vehicle, and Mr. Jackson used a key to unlock the door to get in the driver's seat. When units approached the Impala, all occupants ran. The 2 passenger males were apprehended while Mr. Jackson eluded police at that time on a foot pursuit into and through Great Northern Mall. An award was issued for him at that time. Moving on then, that was April 3rd. April 9th of 2023, a Mr. John Beck Jr., and this is now in case 683231. John Beck Jr., age 25, had his apartment burglarized while he was out. Multiple items and money were taken. His apartment is located across the street from the Michael Zone Rec Center, which is roughly an 8-minute walk or a 2-minute car ride from where Ms. Dienes' 2006 Impala was taken from her at gunpoint the year prior. That is the vehicle in question in the case 685374. Blood at the point of entry, a broken window, was sent to BCI and matched to the defendant, Jalen Jackson. Moving on then, Your Honor, to case 697745. On December 6th of 2023, at approximately 7 p.m., victim by the name of Mike Mathis, no relation to Detective Mike Mathis, Mathis spelled M-A-T-H-E-S, age 55, had just delivered an Amazon package on Summit Park Road in Cleveland Heights between Noble and Cleveland Heights Boulevard. He was getting back in the white cargo van he was using to make those deliveries when Jalen Jackson, 23 at the time, put the barrel of his high point 9mm into Mr. Mathis's back and told him to get down on the ground, and if he moved, he would blow his brains out. Mr. Mathis scrambled to get out of the van, and in the process of doing so, fell and scraped up his hand. The van was spotted by Cleveland Heights Police Department on Helmsdale near Brayton, and observed again by Officer Anderson with no headlights on Brayton, where he went to make a U-turn and initiate a traffic stop, at which time he heard shots fired and called that out over radio traffic while activating his lights and sirens and pursuing. Jackson fled north on Taylor Road, eastbound on Euclid Avenue, north on Coit, west on Woodworth, north on Coit again, west on Kirby, north on Edie, and went for the first time onto 90 West from Edie Road. Through Cleveland Heights, he went on 90 eastbound through downtown into the near west side, exiting at Lorraine Avenue. He proceeded through more residential and commercial areas before driving northbound on West 44th from Clark, before turning onto North Marginal across West 41st and onto the westbound exit ramp from 90, where he exited on West 7th. The pursuit continued. The Cleveland Police Department helicopter was sent up. Speeds were recorded of reaching up to 100 miles per hour throughout various times in the pursuit. Mr. Jackson then drove the van he was in westbound into the eastbound lanes on I-90 with Cleveland Heights officers pursuing with lights and sirens. And just before 8 p.m., Mr. Jackson traveled straight down the far left lane into oncoming traffic, lane 1, at approximately 68 miles an hour, and crashed his van head-on into the white sedan being driven by Dr. Curtis Burchall, age 70. The injuries to Mr. Burchall were profound, and he was pronounced dead on scene. Mr. Jackson, who exited the vehicle and tried to flee on foot at that time, suffered a broken ankle. A spent 9mm shell casing was located at 1080 Brayton Road, and when examined by the firearm and tool mark analysts at the Regional Forensic Lab, it did match the 9mm high point recovered from Mr. Jackson after the crash. His hands were also swabbed and revealed gunshot residue. Your Honor, again, the state is arguing that this is the most serious form of these offenses and does warrant maximum consecutive sentences. angle the screen, or I don't know, Your Honor, agree?
I can see fine.
I'm going to play what's been marked as State's Exhibit 1 for the purposes of this hearing, and will be offered by the state as such, going approximately to 55 seconds of playtime in. And Your Honor, I direct your attention to this top of the screen here. This is the van that Mr. Jackson was driving directly in the center lane, not even attempting to get over. Hit Dr. Birchall head on. This is Dr. Birchall's vehicle. This is the van driven by the defendant. After the crash, he attempts to flee even then, on foot, from officers, who then pursue him on foot, where he's ultimately apprehended, and they attempt to render aid to Mr. Birchall, Dr. Birchall. However, he was pronounced deceased on scene.
Can you replay that again, now that I know what I'm looking at?
Certainly, Your Honor.
Yeah.
There are no headlights on that vehicle. It is directly in the center of that far left lane. There is a median that he could have been over more into. He was directly in that left lane, Your Honor, with no headlights on, going into oncoming traffic on I-90. To go back to the psychological harm, Your Honor, to not only the individuals involved, Dr. Birchall's family, and anyone else who was affected by this. Mr. Mathis did provide a statement. He wanted the court to know that he only received a minor cut to his left hand. This was, again, the Amazon delivery employee. He received a minor cut on his left hand and bruising on his right knee that did not require any medical treatment. However, he did undergo counseling as a result of being robbed at gunpoint, the van taken from him. He said he was unable, quote, "I was unable to return to work right away and lost pay because of this crime. I now have panic attacks when it gets dark and sometimes unable to finish my routes because of it. I no longer leave my house when it gets nighttime because of the fear it's no longer safe. I lose sleep every night because of the incident replaying in my dreams." Moving on, Your Honor, to 292912D, that the recidivism is more likely in this case. Jalen Jackson does have a history of juvenile delinquency that was indicated and outlined in the pre-sentence investigative report, but it does bear noting, Your Honor, that the most concerning case in question is DL 17117206, that I believe was reindicted as DL 181000767, under which Jalen Jackson was adjudicated delinquent on 28 counts. 8 counts of aggravated robbery, 8 counts of kidnapping, 4 of felonious assault, 5 of grand theft, and 1 of each theft, attempted grand theft, and discharge of a firearm. In those cases, there was a rash of carjackings, aggravated robberies that occurred within a very short window of time, for which he received juvie life. He was admitted to the Ohio Department of Youth Services on May 11, 2018, and stayed until his 21st birthday, August of 2021. So August 2021, Your Honor, and the first incident in the 3 cases before this court for sentencing began on April 3rd, of 2023. And again, Your Honor, juvie life, as it's termed, is the most serious offense or serious punishment that a juvenile can receive. And even that did not deter him for the conduct that brings us to court today. Again, another factor under 292912D, he did not respond favorably to those sanctions that were imposed on him by the juvenile court system. Your Honor, as far as consecutive sentences, again, that is what the state's asking for. 2 or more of the multiple offenses committed were a single course of conduct, and the harm was so great and unusual that a single term does not adequately reflect the seriousness of this conduct. And we believe that his criminal history shows that consecutive terms are necessary to protect the public. In his pre-sentence investigative report, he's marked as moderate risk level for recidivism. The state is asking the court to impose a term of the maximum sentence, so without any Reagan-Tokes time, which the state would offer the involuntary manslaughter be the appropriate count to add the Reagan-Tokes tail. But the 11 years on the involuntary manslaughter, 11 years on the aggravated robbery with the 3-year firearm specification time, 36 months on discharge of a firearm on or near prohibited premises, 36 months on the failure to comply with the 3-year firearm specification, and 36 months on having weapons under disability, the 2 3-year firearm specifications in the failure to comply, and the aggravated robbery to be run consecutive to one another, and the 1-year firearm specification in the involuntary manslaughter count to be run concurrent for a total of 34 years. And then, again, Your Honor, that's without the Reagan-Tokes tail, which would be added. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Anything in mitigation? Mr. Shaughnessy, now before you go, I just will note for the record, I do have in my possession 2 letters, which I know the prosecutors indicated they've had a chance to read or review. One is from the mother. I think it's Akia Reed. And the second one is from James Reed, who is the little brother of the defendant. So I know both sides have had a chance to review it, and the state has read these letters, or the court has read these letters, and we'll take that into account for mitigation. Anything else?
Thank you, Your Honor. If it would please the court, I would just like to begin by stating that anything I'm about to say is in no way meant to demean the seriousness of what occurred here. We understand what a tragedy this was, and again, nothing we're about to say on behalf of Jalen is in any way meant to demean the seriousness of what happened. Judge, as you've indicated, and I know you've read the pre-sentence investigation report, I know that you're well aware of the facts and circumstances and background of this young man and of these offenses. Judge Jalen understands the seriousness of his conduct. He understands the seriousness of the consequences of his conduct, and he has admitted his full guilt and accepted responsibility by entering these pleas. On his behalf, Your Honor, I would say, in addition to those letters, he has strong family support, evidenced by all of the folks that are sitting behind him here, all relatives and friends who are here even in this time to support him. Judge, looking at his background, I think some things are of note. He did begin abusing drugs, mainly marijuana. It looks like about an ounce a day, starting at the age of 15. I think we're all aware of what kind of effects that can have on, and again, it's not an excuse, but what kind of effect that can have on his development. Judge, I think in these cases, the most important person to speak is going to be Jalen, and I know in a few moments he would like to express his remorse to the family, to the court, and to the community. Before he does that, though, I would just, a couple of things I think need to be said. We would not object to consecutive sentences, Your Honor, as I indicated earlier. We've gotten the benefit of not having a life sentence involved here through negotiations with the state of Ohio, and the only place to get to the agreed range of 26 to 34 was by agreeing to consecutive sentences. So we do concede that. Judge, I'm going to ask you to consider the 26-year sentence. This young man is 24 years old. If you give him a 26-year sentence, With the Reagan Tokes, he's going to be subject to incarceration for 26 to 31 and a half years. At the conclusion of that sentence, he will be given 5 years of post-release control. So basically, if you give him a 26-year sentence, he's under the control of the Bureau of Department of Corrections for the next 36 and a half years. He's 24 years old. Take him past his 60th birthday. Judge, we'd ask you to consider that that would be an appropriate sentence. It's within the range that the state negotiated. At this time, I know Jalen would like to address the victims' families, all of the victims in these cases, this court, and the community.
All right, Mr. Jackson, you don't have to say anything, but you're permitted to. Do you wish to address the court?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just speak up loud.
Yeah, I said yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I heard you, but I mean, the court reporter has to take down what you say, so I'm asking that you just speak loudly. Go ahead.
I just apologize for what I did. I didn't mean to harm. I didn't mean to put harm to nobody. I messed up. It was an accident. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. Okay, so before imposing sentence, the court notes for the record that it is considered the record. Oh wait, did you also want to hand to me some certificates? I believe.
Your Honor, I did show you some certificates prior to coming out here for sentencing, and that was just in an effort to show the court that Mr. Jackson has used his time in the county jail wisely. He's completed a number of programs, and I think that shows that he is subject to being rehabilitated in the future.
All right, just because you mentioned at sidebar that you showed the prosecutor to, you get a chance to review these, right, Ms. Lennox?
I did have an opportunity
All
to
right.
review them, Your Honor. There is one other thing the state would like to put on the record when it's appropriate, Your Honor.
Sure. So it's just, these are certificates of courses that he's completed while in the county jail for anger management, for introduction to legal studies, criminal process, the basics is another course, how can I stop my anger course, in the courtroom course, House of Healing, the basics course, math, addition, subtraction and course, Veterans Behind Bars course, a fentanyl course, and how to reverse opiate overdose course. So the court will note those, and we'll make these a part of the record, these courses. I'll just keep it in. Are you introducing the video as part of the sentencing or no?
I can't offer it for the record, Your Honor.
I'm not asking you to do it, you referenced it, I'm just asking if you are.
I will submit that segment as part of the record, Your Honor.
All right, then I'll put all of these, well, they'll just stay in the court file, I guess, these certificates and the letters. I'm sorry, did you want to indicate anything else, Ms. Linick?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. At this time, AP Bernier does have some information to provide the court with regards to restitution request.
Yes, Your Honor. In case 685374, this is the receiving stolen property case. I did receive an email from the victim on that matter, Ms. Anacia Dens, who provided a statement that I'd like to read. Just the consequences of this crime have extended beyond just the loss of my vehicle. The psychological toll has been significant as I have struggled with anxiety and an overwhelming sense of insecurity. I often find myself worrying about my personal safety, and simple daily tasks such as driving have become a source of stress. I now feel a sense of caution and mistrust that I did not experience before. I also had to since move out of my beloved home due to the fear it caused. Additionally, Your Honor, Ms. Jens has provided a $500 insurance deductible information for that vehicle that was stolen. And then in case 683231, burglary case, the state did make contact with the victim on that matter, John Beck, at the beginning of the case, who has indicated a total restitution amount of $1,070 being sought after the items that were stolen were a PlayStation 5 valued at $550, a pair of shoes valued at $500, and then a bed comforter which was valued at $20, giving us to that $1,070 amount of restitution being requested in that case.
All right. All right, so we already took the plea. So I'm asking the defense counsel, are you consenting or objecting? Do we need to have a restitution hearing? I'm trying to, because this was not part of the plea, right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Right, so, these aren't here, I mean, they do realize he's going to prison for a long time, doesn't he?
Yes, Your Honor, both victims have understood that point.
All right, well, I'll just ask Mr. Shaughnessy, what his position on those are.
I understand what the court said is that there's going to be a minimum 26 or maximum 34-year sentence. We did not negotiate that first, and I was not given that information until this morning.
Sure. All right, listen, I understand that without them being present, we'd have to have a restitution hearing. So I appreciate the prosecution bringing that to the court's attention. Again, before imposing sentence, the court notes for the record that it has considered the record, the oral statements made here today, the pre-sentence investigative report, the certificates of completion, the letters from the defendant's family. We also considered some of the statements from the victims, and we're also considering the prior juvenile record of the defendant. The court must and has formulated its decision based upon the overriding principles and purposes of felony sentencing, namely to protect the public from future crime by the defendant or others, and to punish the offender using the minimum sanctions that the court determines accomplish those purposes without imposing an unnecessary burden on state or local government resources. To achieve these purposes, the court has considered the need for incapacitation, deterrence, rehabilitation, also must consider the seriousness and recidivism factors relevant to the offender and the offense. The court also has to ensure the sentence being imposed does not demean the seriousness of the crime and the impact it has on the victims and the community, and that is consistent with other similar offenses committed by like offenders. So with that in mind, also, the court is going to consider that part of the agreed sentence necessitates consecutive sentences, as the defense counsel conceded. However, the court will still, in determining that, considering these cases, the court determines that consecutive sentences will be necessary to punish the offender and to protect the public from future crime, and that it is not disproportionate to the seriousness of the conduct and the danger posed by the defendant, and one or more of the offenses were committed while the offender was awaiting, and two or more offenses of these offenses were part of one or more courses of conduct, and the harm caused is so great and unusual that a single prison term would not adequately reflect the seriousness of the conduct, and his criminal history demonstrates that consecutive sentences are necessary to protect the public. So as part of these two, the defendant pled to a failure to comply. That was a felony of the 3rd degree. So with that, carries a mandatory driver's license suspension anywhere from 3 years to life, and the court's going to impose a lifetime suspension on the driver's license. That's with respect to the failure to comply in case number 697745. Count 9. So we're going to go through these cases one by one. In case number 685374, defendant is sentenced to 12 months or 1 year on count 1 of the indictment for receiving stolen property, motor vehicle felony of the 4th degree. And that time will be run concurrent in that case to all the other cases. In case number 683231, defendant pled guilty to burglary of felony of the 2nd degree. Is charged in count 1. With this one, this is subject to something called Reagan-Tokes. So after I sentence you to since this is subject to indefinite sentence, once I determine the sentence for this case and this count, automatically by statute, the indefinite portion will be 50% more than what I sentenced. So I'm going to sentence you 2 years to the burglary as charged in count 1 of the indictment. So you will serve a term of anywhere from 2 to 3 years, and I'll explain that indefinite sentence when I go over that in the next case, the ramifications. So, but the sentence in this case will be run concurrent with all the other cases and all the other counts. So concurrent with case ending in 74 and concurrent in case ending in 45. So you're sentenced to 2 to 3 years on that one. Case number 697745. Well, actually, let's go back here. Case ending in 74, where I sentenced you to 1 year, you're going to be, we'll just advise you, well, we'll go over the post-release control at the end. So we'll go back to case ending in 45. Rape and tokes can only apply to 1 count here. The state elects, and the court agrees to apply it to count 1 of the indictment. So, with regard to count 1, involuntary manslaughter, the court will impose a sentence of 11 years. And since that is since the court has imposed that sentence, the indefinite sentence is half of that, or an additional 5.5 years. So it'll be 11 to 16.5 years on count 1. Now, let's go over the rape and tokes. The indefinite sentence that applies here and also to the case with the burglary. So the minimum term, which for the burglary was 2 years, or for this case is 11 years, so it's 2 to 3 or 11 to 16.5. There is a rebuttable presumption that you shall be released from the service of that sentence at the expiration of your minimum or presumptive early release date, whichever is earlier. The Department of Corrections may rebut that presumption if at a hearing held pursuant to Revised Code 2967.271, the Department of Corrections makes specified determinations regarding your conduct while confined, the offender's threat to society, the offender's restricting housing, if any, while confined, and the offender's security classification. And if the Department of Corrections at the hearing makes the specified determinations and rebuts the presumption, they may maintain the offender's incarceration after the expiration of that minimum term or after that presumptive early release date for the length of time the Department of Corrections determines to be reasonable, subject to the limitations specified in Revised Code Section 2967.271. The Department may make the specified determinations and maintain the offender's incarceration under the provisions described in Division B2C1 and 2 of this section more than 1 time, subject to the limitations specified in Revised Code 2967.271. If the offender has not been released prior to the expiration of his maximum prison term imposed as part of the sentence, the offender must be released upon the expiration of that term. So, back to the sentencing in this case, which would be 45, with respect to count 3 of the indictment. The court is going to impose a sentence of 11 years. That brings us up to your base sentence of 22 years to 27.5. With respect to count 8 in the indictment, we're going to impose a sentence of 24 months or 2 years. And that will be, count 2, that'll be 2 years. So counts 1 and count 3 of the indictment, according to my previous findings, would be run consecutive to each other so far for 22 to 27.5 years. However, wait a minute. Let me go back to that. I imposed a sentence of 11 years. However, there is a 3-year firearm specification within there. So we're going to do this. It's a little confusing. So count 1 in the indictment, I sentenced you from 11 to 16.5 years, but there's a 1-year firearm specification. And we're going to run that concurrent with the other firearm specification. So count 1 is 11 to 16.5 years. Count 3, I sentenced you to 11 years on there, but I also must sentence you to the 3-year firearm specification. So that would bring you from 22 to 27.5. However, there's a 3-year firearm specification that must be run prior and consecutive to any other time. So now we're up to 25 to 30.5 years. Then count 8 in the indictment. I said I would sentence you to 24 months, 2 years. That will be run concurrent with all the other counts in this case. With respect to failure to comply with order signaled police officer, where you pled guilty to, as amended in count 9 in the indictment, I'm going to sentence you to a term of 24 months or 2 years on that count, plus the 3-year firearm specification. So that would bring up and again, that 3-year firearm specification must be run. I'm going to run it consecutive to the other 3-year firearm specification for a total of 6 years of firearm specifications that must be run prior and consecutive to the 22 years I already sentenced you on 825. Okay, this would bring you to 24 years. So if I sentence you on this count to 2 years for failure to comply, I'm going to find that must be consecutive to all the other counts on this case. So your total sentence would be 24 years for the sentences, plus 6 years of the gun specs, so a term of 30 years to 35.5 years. And we're going to order the forfeiture of the weapon. And with respect to count 10 in the indictment, we're going to sentence you to 2 years. That will be run concurrent with all other counts. So this is within the range of the agreed upon recommended sentence. The defendant will be sentenced to a term of anywhere from 30 to 35.5 years of forfeiture of the weapon. I'm going to waive all fines and costs because the defendant needs to, as I like to say, buy toothpaste in prison. Is the state anything else we need to indicate, or do you think the court, it's complicated? But
I think the court has complied, and I believe everything is accurate, Your Honor.
and Mr. Shaughnessy?
I would concur.
All right, now, also, so with that, there's still other things we need to go over. Upon completion of your prison term, you will be subject to a mandatory term of post-release control, being on parole, and that'll be for a period of time of anywhere from 2 to 5 years, as the term, because of what you pled guilty to. It's a mandatory minimum of 2 up to a maximum of 5 years. So when this is imposed following release from prison, if you violate the conditions of that supervision, the parole board may impose a prison term as part of the sentence of up to 1/2 of your stated prison term. If you're on post-release control and you're convicted of a new felony in addition to that sentence, the judge may add an additional consecutive prison term of 1 year or whatever time remains on your post-release control term, whichever is greater as a maximum. And while you're on post-release control, if you fail to report to your parole officer, You also could be charged with a crime called escape, that's a felony. We did discuss jail credit, and you are entitled to that. As of today, you have 504 days of jail time credit that will be applied. And any day from now until you're delivered to the institution. This is a sad case. It is sad for the victim that was involved and for the community. It is sad for the defendant. You know, I'm just reminded this isn't a shooting homicide, but I'm aware that Cleveland City Council declaring this an epidemic, the gun violence in the community in Cleveland through Blaine Griffin and Councilman Starr, and this is just another example of it where there are no winners. You are a young man, and the court does appreciate that you pled guilty to this, and that you did so, that you took responsibility in a timely manner. So you do get some credit for that, but with your record within that agreed upon range, that's ultimately how I arrived at that sentence. So waive all fines and fees. Since he's going to be in, I know that the prosecution asked for restitution. The court's going to decline to order that now without a restitution hearing. Sheriff ordered transport. It's so ordered. We're in recess.